Welcome to the Disagreeable Nerd podcast, a podcast where nerds from various ages and backgrounds get together to discuss movies, TV, books, and anything else that pops into their small, simple minds. Now sit back, relax, and let their ignorance wash over you.
And welcome back to Disagreeable Nerd, episode 108. I gotta make it fast so that Sade doesn't say something stupid.
What is that supposed to be?
I'm the titular host, Gabi, the Disagreeable Nerd. With me today is
Deej.
And
Sure Dizzle.
and also a special guest appearance by
This is me.
So Jerry's a special guest on
I am
Disagreeable
indeed
Nerd.
a special guest.
Whoa,
Special,
Jerry's never been on Disagreeable Nerd, right?
I have.
Yes, he has.
I was
wait.
on it in the original.
Wait, that doesn't
on it
count.
before
That
you
doesn't
were.
totally count because first of all, you were in the original, but now you're not in our podcast anymore. So now it's like a special thing for me. Like
I was on the first season when it was good.
that's bull crap.
Before it jumped the shark.
So it's such bull crap.
It definitely fell off.
Whatever. Hey,
There was,
Alexa, what are you doing?
why is Alexa?
Alexa.
I was like, who's this
Stop.
lady in the background?
What's going on?
Alexa's all,
Amazon. Calm yourself.
she's all up in your biz.
Alexa, stop.
Amazon. Off.
Amazon, stop listening.
Freaking
Jeff Bezos.
Jeff Bezos trying to.
Like another billion.
Jeffrey Bezos.
Okay, so the reason for Jerry's very special visit is that we're going to discuss Dune, but there are two particular stories I had to discuss here. Not discuss, just mention. One, Hayden Christensen's coming back to Star Wars.
I saw that. I saw
We
that.
already knew that for Obi-Wan.
He's going to be in.
Yep.
No, Ahsoka.
I know. I'm saying we already knew
You
that
said
for
that
Obi-Wan.
Obi-Wan.
Yes, we already knew he was coming back to Star Wars. for
Who's
Obi-Wan.
we? I'm announcing this for those that did not know. You may have known, but not
old
everybody's
news,
tapped in.
bro.
No, it's not.
Yeah, it's like a year ago.
Ahsoka adds Hayden. This is brand new.
But I'm
Wait,
saying it's not a big
Deej,
shock.
I'll
because we
say-
already
This is why nobody listened to this
Well, I'll
show.
say, DJ, when I saw it, I did
October
not
22nd.
know that. I didn't know that.
Oh, okay. Well,
We're not talking about Obi-Wan. We're talking about Ahsoka's show.
I know. I'm just saying it's not a big leap of faith.
October
with logic
22nd.
You know, DJ's like a Star Wars
Come on, you
freak
just forget.
fanatic.
I don't know why I try. Okay. Also, Ryan Gosling's going to be Ken to Margot Robbie's Barbie
What?
That
in a
is
live action Ken and Barbie.
No way.
Yes. How does that make you feel?
I don't mind Ryan Gosling.
I can see Margot Robbie as Barbie,
Yeah, I can see
but
that.
isn't Ken dark-headed? Not that that matters these days.
believe so.
Yeah, I think
thought he
I
always
can't
had-
actually. Honestly, I can't even
Ken always had
remember.
a dark head of hair.
Did he in Toy Story? Or was he blonde in Toy Story?
I thought
I didn't know
thought
he
he
was
was
in Toy Story.
blonde for some reason. Wait, so they're making a live action Barbie movie? Like,
How desperate
Barbie
are
and
we
Ken.
for IP that we're going to Barbie? Well,
we
we done
talking
we done G.I. Joe and
I'm a
Transformers.
Barbie girl in a Barbie
Are we talking
Have you
about
listened to
live
the
action?
lyrics of that song? It's quite disturbing.
Is it really?
Yes,
Oh
it's
my
bad.
god! I
Are we
know it
talking
was-
about live action here, or are we talking about like voices?
No, live action Ken and Barbie.
Why?
That's so weird.
Also,
I wonder what their
Jerry, are you
genitals are
there?
going to look like.
I'm just trying to picture what the plot line for Barbie would be. Like, is it going to be a dark Barbie? Where, like, in the end, she just,
What is it?
ODs
Is it a
or
kids
what? I mean,
movie?
like, what is is it for kids?
A dark and gritty reboot of Ken and Barbie.
Well, it's just like with like Snow White. You know,
Ken's actually a serial killer.
so you know how like they have like the Snow White with Kristen Stewart and Chris, like that's like a dark version of it. So I was
Yeah, but that's
just-
Snow White. She was never a Barbie.
It's going.
But I'm just saying, like it was like a kid friendly.
It's going to have to be a comedy. It's got to be a comedy.
It has to be
Weird.
because it's so stupid.
What are we going to do? Just Days of Our Lives of Barbie. Who cares?
Can we talk about Ryan Gosling being Ken for a second?
You can.
Sure.
I mean, well, okay. I think it's cool. I think that him being Ken is cool.
All right. Thanks for that deep insight.
Wow.
I like him.
What else do you think?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's really weird.
And
He
something.
did good. Sorry, go ahead.
Okay.
No,
real
Deej,
quick.
say what you're gonna say.
No. Everybody
No,
shut up.
he was gonna say it.
Go ahead.
Something I wanted to mention was this is not so happy a discussion. I may or may not leave this in the podcast. The on-set shooting of a cinematographer in the Western Rust.
Oh my God.
By Alec Baldwin.
Dude.
It's all over the news. Everybody probably already knows about it.
Yes.
But how do you have live gun rounds on set? Does anybody know?
I don't get it.
It's
Jerry?
the same way with Brandon Lee. It's just a prop gun that misfired.
But they're saying it was a live round.
Yeah.
Now that doesn't necessarily mean the same thing. Just because they say it's a live round doesn't necessarily mean it's a bullet. You can accidentally shoot somebody with a prop gun, and I mean it'd be a blank and it still kill them. But from the report that I read, it appears that somebody on set was utilizing that prop gun to actually fire live rounds the day before, and it may be that they accidentally left a live round, an actual bullet, in the prop gun.
Yeah.
So
gun that killed Helena Hutchins used by crew offset for fun. So they were using the gun like a gun, just off time.
So a prop gun operates the
didn't tell
same as a
anybody.
real gun?
Well,
It's still a
yes.
gun.
How do you think it fires?
I'll be honest. I didn't know that
It's a
either.
real
So I
gun. They
thought
just
like a
load it
prop-
with a blank.
Okay, so I'm thinking in my mind, a prop gun means it's a fake gun. It doesn't
That's
actually
what I
operate
thought.
like a gun.
Right. Well, most times
How-
they don't use CGI.
how do you
for,
think
like,
it shoots?
The barrel like flash,
I-
like the muzzle flash and stuff, is real because it's an actual bullet in there. It's just a
Oh my
blank.
God.
Now, there are such things as non-guns. Now, a non-gun is not the same as a prop gun. You
made
may
with bread.
no, they're not. They look just like regular guns. You may see them occasionally when somebody needs to fire a weapon at somebody, but they have to ensure, because of the distance, how close they are, that they're not utilizing a prop. For instance, the very first scene in the TV series Justified, you'll note that unlike the rest of the series, if you remember that show, Timothy Oliphant is not utilizing a Glock like he does the rest of the series. He's actually using a 6-hour 229, and it's a non-gun. The gun doesn't actually fire a round. It just has a remote control that causes fire to come out the end to look like it's being shot.
Which they should use on everything.
Yeah, so that's, I mean, if they're worried about you accidentally being too close and shooting somebody with a blank, which can kill you, they'll use a non-gun. Or, much like, to refer back to Mr. Ryan Gosling, his weapon utilized in one of my favorite movies, Blade Runner 2049. All of the sounds, the movement, everything was CGI'd. That gun was just literally a toy.
Yeah, and that's how it should be because they're movies and they're
I mean,
fake.
it's pretend. You should not be using anything
Nobody's
real.
firing a real gun. Why do you need?
So along those lines, a TV show I was into for a while, but then I just kind of lost interest. The Rookie with Nathan Fillion.
I remember you used to watch that one.
He plays a L.A. cop. It says, following the Rust accident, the Rookie bans live guns from set, and that they're going to go to they're going to stick with airsoft guns. Which an airsoft gun just basically shoots like plastic pellets.
Why would you need an airsoft gun? Why would you need anything that fired?
I don't know. What are special effects for? If we
An
can take a
airsoft gun
gun,
doesn't sound like a real gun.
pew, 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 pew.
I mean, what
They
do
can add those effects.
Why do they need that?
Nathan Fillion shoots out the eye of a gripper.
It's like, are they still shooting BBs? I mean, what's the
Anyway,
point?
it's a horrific accident. I have no idea what I mean, it just seems completely unnecessary to have real guns on set with any sort of live action ammo, whatever that implies.
Anything's
It's
gonna
like
kill you. I mean,
it's
that's-
sad.
John Wick 4 has switched all their guns to bananas. You'll just have to act like it's,
He'd still be
pretend.
more lethal.
All right. Well, that's all the news I had because we're going to get straight to
Dune.
Dune
Dune.
by director Denis Villeneuve. Does anybody know how to say his name?
Wait,
Yeah.
what is that?
Does anybody know how to say his name?
Who?
remember.
Timothy Chalamet?
No,
or the director?
Dennis,
The director.
Dennis Villeneuve.
Villeneuve?
It's Denis Villeneuve.
It is
Oh, I was gonna say, what
Denis
is he? What's his-
Villeneuve.
Then City.
So
I
a bunch
guess.
of Americans not knowing how to say the name of a apparently
It's
French actor.
That's embarrassing.
I mean,
No, I
director?
said he's Canadian.
He said Canadian.
He's Canadian, a French Canadian, obviously.
It is
No,
a
he's just
Timothée
Canadian.
Gabby, why do you
Chalamet.
say obviously French Canadian?
Obviously.
And Timothy is American.
I thought Timothy was English.
Timothée Chalamet.
I thought he was English.
Oscar Isaac.
Dang it.
Denis Villeneuve.
Okay, so a real quick, not in depth, overall opinion of Dune.
Well, wait a minute. I need to give a brief synopsis. Give me. Let me do a 30-minute
usually
synopsis.
do-
30 minutes
A brief
synopsis.
30-minute synopsis.
We usually do a synopsis after, like,
No,
how we felt.
No.
I'm
Synopsis
going to
happens
say
This movie's way too much for a synopsis. I think we should.
the
So
synopsis. The synopsis requires.
We'll do it like a real short 1 minute
first.
summary.
I'll do it real quick.
2 minutes.
go
You got
ahead.
2 minutes.
So this is about Space Jesus, which is played by Timothy Chalamet.
Correct.
Gotcha.
And his mom.
Timothy
Yeah.
Shamalama Ding Dong. That's his
Yeah,
name.
his mom is a member of the Bene Jesuits, which they're
Jesuits,
like
of
a
course, the
group of
Jesuits.
like. I think they're just a group of feminists that they really want to try to be able to control everything and manipulate stuff, and so they're like all super space. They're space feminists, and they're raising Space Jesus. And Oscar Isaac is Space Jesus's dad,
Space Joseph.
and yeah, and he gets
Space Joseph Leto.
Yep.
he gets a new job in like Arizona or Australia. I think it's Australia because everything's trying to kill you and there's no guns.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, there's no guns in FYI, there's no guns in Dune. I think
I was
Alec
wondering
Baldwin
about that the whole
visited the
Like,
time.
what's
They
with all
took
the
them away.
swords?
I was like, why is there even swords?
We have interstellar travel, but we
no
don't have
guns.
guns.
It's the year 10,180, but we're using swords.
they banned computers
They-
too. That's
they
like the
banned them
lore
all.
of Dune.
The internet no longer exists.
Yeah. So not only in this universe does Apple and Samsung not exist, but they've taken away the guns as well. Apparently, they just
Smith
use
and
swords.
Wesson's also gone.
And then basically, I think like I don't know what you call them. They look like the bunch of bald guys get very angry, and one of the guards
The
is
WWE.
yeah, they show up. and
Very
they
angry
attack.
white bald men.
Yep.
They attack, and bad things happen. And there's a worm, like a large worm, that I don't know what that worm represents, but it's there.
Indigestion.
But yeah,
Armageddon.
so it's an interesting show. It's very symbolic.
There's,
Ragnarok. It's the world snake.
I have to say with the well, okay, wait. Are we going to talk about how we felt first, or can we just go right into it real quick?
Just go into it.
Okay, well, okay. I don't know how you guys feel, but have you guys ever read William
Angry.
Shakespeare's Romeo and Juliet?
No. Read it?
Yeah.
No.
Did you?
No.
No?
I've never
Okay,
read
well,
any
okay.
Shakespeare.
Well,
Possibly an English class in high school,
well, I
but I
thought
don't remember.
for some reason.
Nor do I care.
Well, I know it's not. It's for some reason when I was thinking about all these houses and lords, I thought of freaking Romeo and Juliet for some reason and how there's all these
sure there's some
houses that
basis for
hated
that.
each other and they fought. And I
The Montagues and the Capulets.
yes. How do you know that?
The Fremen.
You know that, but you said you've only.
I said I've watched the movies. I
But
know
you've-
Leo DiCaprio and.
Oh, okay.
the
So I
Claire
thought maybe you
Danes.
actually read the play. Anyways,
read it
I
in
thought of
school.
that whenever I was watching this movie for some reason. I know it's weird.
Right.
I thought of all these houses fighting and they hate each other, and it's kind of the same thing with Romeo and Juliet. Anyways, I was thinking that was interesting.
Okay, so for me, I'm thinking, all right, here's this. This is the sci-fi book of the ages. Everybody refers to Dune by Frank Herbert. Really, is that your name? Two first names? Come on, guy. Frank Herbert wrote the most
Sorry.
amazing
That's a
sci-fi
really
novel of all
weird
time.
name.
A, I've read the novel. B, I wasn't impressed. B was good.
It took you what, a year to read it? Let's talk
It
about
did
that.
take me a long time to read it.
Forever.
But his ideas were sound and solid, and they've been ripped off ever since. Game of Thrones is completely Dune, completely 100% Dune.
Well, Star Wars stole from Dune.
Star Wars.
Oh my God. Oh my
Right.
God. I was thinking Star Wars. I feel like Star Wars vibes in this movie, but I don't know what came first.
Tremors stole
Tremors,
from Dune.
Dune.
Definitely,
Okay.
definitely Tremors for sure.
And I would have to say Dune stolen from the Bible.
Oh,
with
yeah.
the one,
Freaking Bible.
the Messiah,
The Matrix.
here to save
The
everyone.
Matrix. Yeah.
The
Sorry,
Matrix.
my bad. I got really aggressive.
Okay, so in the movie, they especially kept up bringing the one.
Yep.
I'm the one.
Yep.
You're the one. So clear Matrix analogy. So all these stories.
Well, they had to say the one because nobody else could say the actual name of it.
Muabat. So they haven't said whatever his name is in the book
He's
yet.
the Bender Gesserit. The Jizerac, the quasi
Jizerac?
Jizerac.
Quisatch Jizerac, give a dog a bone.
That's him. And so he's been now that historically. Now I'm like 3 blue moons in, so I might be
ain't the
confusing
Bene Gesserit.
things.
That's
I
not
believe
Bene.
what's going on
3 fluids.
with the Bene Gesserits. The Bene Gesserits were the women who were like
Yes.
behind the scenes of all the big houses, and they were trying to breed the Quasac Jizerac.
They're the soothsayers, the truth.
And see, they can choose what gender the child is. And so that's what was such a big thing when the lady who is with Hugh Jackman in The Greatest Showman, who sings Never Enough very beautifully, I can't remember her name.
Rebecca Ferguson.
She was supposed to give birth to a daughter, and she
Rebecca
chose not
Ferguson.
Where
to.
we go?
I know her from Mission Impossible.
Yeah.
I do too.
Right.
And I absolutely
Well,
love her. She's awesome.
I know her from the musical, and she was also in Hugh Jackman in that awful Inception ripoff show
Oh,
that
yeah,
was on
Reminiscence.
HBO Max that I
I've not
stole.
seen
Hey,
that.
which one?
It was horrible.
Reminiscence.
Reminiscence. I guess I've never
It's
seen that
new.
either.
Yeah, I don't
It's
want
new
to.
and
I
I haven't seen
don't.
it.
I don't want to reminisce about that one either. But yeah,
I've never seen that.
She was supposed to give birth to a daughter, and instead she chose to give birth to a very handsome, thin.
He's pretty hot.
He is
Sick
so.
looking boy.
I'd say he's
I
hot.
am very sold on Timothy Chalamet when I watched him in The King.
Oh,
I really like The King.
Yes, that's in my list to watch. He was also in Little Women. I think he was in Little
He
Women.
was in Little Women.
He was one of the guys.
I believe he portrayed one of the little women. That's how great of an actor he is, and nobody realized.
I believe it.
Okay, so as to have some structure to this podcast, should we go chronologically in the story or just certain aspects of the movie, a la cinematography,
I would like
audio,
to go
visual?
chronologically.
Okay.
Chronologically is best.
So chronologically, it starts off
It starts off with Zendaya narrating.
with Zendaya narrating, which immediately is different than the book because the book is the Emperor's daughter narrating.
Well, it starts off with one of those weird white bald men speaking in some weird tongue. If you want to go chronologically, before the credits even roll.
That's right. The solution starter car. It was that voice stuff going
Yeah.
on. That voice singing.
Yeah.
Thank goodness. There
It's
was
very
something else.
gruntal moaning
It
was
sounds
taking
like that.
place.
It sounds like that music
Yeah.
from the Himalayans, like the throat music.
That's
Oh my
right,
God,
yeah.
yes.
It's going on.
It sounds like the Who.
I've listened to that crap on YouTube.
The Mongolian band.
Yeah.
It's the Mongolian band.
Mongolian.
Who.
There you go. What isn't Himalayan the Mongolian?
I kind of feel like I should like start chanting when I'm like listening to that. Like, you know what I mean?
Himalayans are the people who make the salt.
No, but I'm saying like the Mongolians live in the Himalayas, right?
So maybe that was borrowed from that. Who knows?
Sounds
Oh,
like it.
so
I
it
think they had to
starts
make
off-
they had to make a voice since it was just a book.
Okay,
It
go
starts
ahead.
off with
That's good.
Timothy eating breakfast with his mother, and
Right.
he is describing to her a dream that he has, which I don't know how appropriate it would be for a young man to be describing the very odd dreams that he's having about a certain Zendaya to his mother. But that's how the show opens.
No, he
She's
said,
a-
she said, "Are you still having dreams?" He said, "No." He wasn't.
He lied to
explaining.
her
He
right off
lied.
the bat.
He lied.
But
to her.
it kind of shows like these like little clips of him having the dream, like
Yeah.
while he's talking,
He clearly lied to his mother, who's a Bene Gesserit, who knows he's lying to her.
correct.
because she's
Yes, and she also utilizes the voice. Now, this is not to be
Yes.
confused with the talent show. The
With Blake
Voice.
Shelton.
But the voice,
I just kept thinking of
yeah,
Skyrim.
the voice is very much,
the what, Deej?
I kept thinking of Skyrim. I'm like,
yeah,
oh,
the
he's
voice is very
Dragonborn.
much where they can channel their inner dragonborn and be
Yeah.
able to influence people
He
and make them do
Fusro-daughter.
things.
When they did that, I thought of Star Wars immediately.
So basically, if you're playing an RPG, this is his charisma level.
Yeah, he force persuaded her.
Force persuaded her to give me some water, and she's like, "Well, you're doing pretty good, but you need to keep up at it." So the Bene Gesserit which his mother is, and which he's part of, which leads down the line to this Kwisatz Haderach. They obviously have some sort of telepathic powers.
Telepathic, yeah.
Well, here's the thing: the Bene Gesserits are able to see the genetic memories, much like in Assassin's Creed and the Animus. I'm callback. So that's like the whole storyline: is that the female Bene Gesserit can see the genetic history of people. They can look back through history and even into the future, but they can't see men's future or genetic history. So they have to be able. So that's what the Kwisatz Haderach guy is supposed to be. He's supposed to be this powerful being that can do the whole 9 yards. But that's not explained very well in the movie.
No,
they just say he's the one. And as we all know, the one is the person who can slow down time and
Stop
come out of the
bullets that don't
Matrix.
exist.
So, Jerry, have you read the book, Dune?
I have read bits and pieces of it. It is a very difficult read. I had, I heard that the later books written by the son of Frank Herbert are not very good. So I have spoiled those, but I have done a deep dive into Dune and trying to understand exactly what it's all about. And I must say that I'm intrigued in the world building, but not overall. The story is very convoluted, but I do like the setting.
Well, whenever I went to Dune Wiki fandom to kind of
that's legit. I go there for
it's
lots
so
of stuff.
good, like to kind of get some explanations on some things that I didn't understand. With like they break it down, the characters' personalities, their history, and then technology and just everything. And I just love that because I'm just like, when I went into watching this movie knowing nothing.
And
nothing.
that's something I was interested in because
Yeah.
I read the book, and the book, like me and Jerry, it's very dense in the beginning because Frank Herbert is literally creating names and worlds and people, all this stuff out of his butt. So it's like, okay, I'm having to figure out what this all means. It's got a glossary that's like,
Right. The beginning of the book's all exposition.
it's all exposition, setting this all up, which is very difficult to get through. But then it gets to the politics, the House Atreides versus the Harkonnens, and what the Emperor is trying to do. So the House Atreides, which is the protagonist of this story,
Timothy Chalamet.
Paul and his father and his mother, they are growing in power. So the Emperor doesn't like how much power they're growing into. So he sends them to Arrakis, which the Harkonnens were in control of. He takes the Harkonnens away from Arrakis to send the Atreides there, knowing that it's going to lead to war between the Atreides house and the Harkonnens house. But he's also going to supplement the Harkonnens with his own fighting force, the Sardaukar. That kind of confused me. It's like, so he's not really rooting for anybody, but yet he's supporting the Harkonnens. That always kind of go ahead.
So, and I mean, that was not, if you weren't paying very close attention in the movie, that was missed. But in the book, it's explained that the Sardaukar, which are the elite fighting force of the Emperor, those men were supposed to be disguised and embedded with the Harkonnens. And the whole idea the Emperor wanted was to kill off the Atreides by utilizing the Harkonnens. And so the Emperor was very much trying to do away with House Atreides.
So he's Team
and
Harkonnen.
this was just
He's
he's Team Harkonnen.
Which is so
I said he was jealous of the power that Atreides was
But
getting.
that's why I don't understand.
Like, what
if he gets rid
power?
of the Atreides, then he's got the Harkonnens to deal with.
Well, the Harkonnens are all bald, and their influence in the Empire. And I'm not saying that there's a lot of visuals in this movie, and I don't like that they portrayed the Harkonnens of being evil, and then have them all physically be bald, and even their leader overweight. Because all the bald, overweight people I know are very jolly.
Okay. Well,
So I was going to say
How
this.
dare you? So that just puts me in House Harkonnen, apparently.
Right, so
Well, no, they wouldn't take
He used
you.
Harkonnen. He used Harkonnen, but Harkonnen's couldn't take out Atreides without the help of the.
The House Atreides had the finest fighting force in the Imperium.
Yeah, so the Harkonnens wouldn't have been able to actually fight them.
But not
They were
without
gonna
the
lose.
Sardaukar.
Right, so he has no fear of the Harkonnens.
Apparently so. I guess he's got the Sardaukor up his sleeve.
He had
can
to
just
utilize the
unleash them.
Harkonnens and his fighting.
So this is all an issue with me. So let me do this for the movie. So the movie has House Atreides goes to this planet. They're supposed to take it over, but not really. The Emperor's setting them up to fail. He's going to send the Harkonnens in to kill the Atreides, and then that way he still feels in control because he knows the Harkonnens are inferior, and then the Emperor is in control. But what is in the background of all this is all the crap in the book. And Ryan Maxwell, that posted on Disagreeablenerd Facebook, Ryan Maxwell said this very well, is that the book has all this background information that is very important to the politics and intrigue behind what's going on. And even some of the characters like the UA, the one that betrayed them, Thafir Hawat, that was the general of the military that like said, I'm going to resign because I let this thing come in and kill. I'm skipping ahead, but
Right.
there's so much background to all these characters that is absolutely impossible to put into a movie. And that's what this movie did well, but also what kind of sucks is because we don't really understand the Bene Gesserit. We just know they have some sort of abilities. Thafir, the guy that, his eyes would go white.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
It's like his security man. He's a mentat, and that's like this extreme sophisticated training. It doesn't, the movie does not go into that.
Mm-mm.
The doctor, Yue, he had this training that was supposed to prevent him from being able to be bribed or blackmailed. Like he had training to prevent that. That is going into in depth in the novels. This movie forgoes that for reasons that made this movie so good. Also, you kind of, the readers only, I think, feel that loss.
Here's what I don't understand. Well, I guess maybe they'll explain it in part 2, but like, I don't understand why the Emperor was so freaked out by Atreides and like them being powerful. Like they seem to be a good house.
It's just like,
why are you so freaking?
Well, I'll go back to Game of Thrones. If you watch any movie or even in history itself, if you have a man in control, an emperor, a king, whatever, but then somebody's becoming very powerful behind you. If you're in that position, you're just automatically paranoid.
Right. If you're the emperor and Oscar Isaac and all his sexiness shows up, you're going to get dethroned.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, look at that head of hair. It's absolutely ridiculous.
Oh, he was pretty hot.
That beard was.
He was hot.
Amazing.
That beard was spot on.
Yeah.
But I mean,
Yeah.
the emperor is just paranoid that this house is going to come up and usurp him, basically. So he's trying to maintain his position as emperor.
He doesn't really sound like a good emperor.
He's not,
They
clearly.
rarely are.
He had to make some hard choices. The midterms were coming up. There's a lot of things going on.
I don't know.
Star Wars took from this, and look at that Emperor.
So then they're sent to this planet Arrakis, which is a desert planet. You have these worms. The spice apparently is, the spice is the
Some
most
kind of
important.
psychological thing.
The spice is the most important thing in the universe because it enables interstellar travel. And
How?
I don't remember the books clearly. I think that there are people, much like Paul, that had psychoactive abilities that they, with their minds, they could control time and space.
So
Right.
Because they
So
did not
the
explain that in the
spacing
movie at all.
guild
They said it
required
once.
spies
Yeah, the spacing.
to travel.
So they require
Spice is
this-
basically Adderall and meth. That's basically what it
rolling
is.
meth.
It's like,
So it's
imagine
it's
if
kind of
you-
like you got that friend that will they want to go on a trip, like let's go on a road trip, and next thing you know it's like 10 o'clock at night. You get in the van, they start it, you fall asleep, and you wake up and you're in Minnesota. Like, how did we get here? It's like he
'cause
drank
my
like
buddy's
3 Red Bulls.
my
and there you
buddy's-
go. He's-
The way
that's
Gabi
the spice.
the way Gabi explained it to me, where I understood it, was that Battlestar Galactica, the little person in the water that could tell the future and stuff. Like they used him.
Yeah, remember the guy-
That's Minority Report.
No.
Well, that also works.
Well,
That also works.
Battlestar
But remember
Galactica, they did the
Battlestar
same thing.
Galactica when I forget his name,
They used him as like a device.
but they were using their brains as a way to travel.
Yes, and that's the way I understood.
I think he was
the
number
spice to be
10. I don't remember.
It was weird.
But so the spice somehow manages to help these people travel through time and space. So it's super important.
The spice.
I have a serious
I
question
have
for you guys.
a practical issue. A very practical issue.
Okay, you tell your practical issue first.
A very practical issue with this movie.
Okay.
They're on a desert planet. Mm-hmm. They've got these biosuits that enable them to recycle their sweat and tears and crap and urine and whatever else.
You're right
into
on what I
water.
was going to ask you.
Where are their goggles? There's sand blowing right in their face the whole time. None of them are wearing goggles. Are goggles not in existence in 10,191?
Hey, look at their eyes.
They're blue.
So maybe the blueness has like done something where it protects their eyes. I don't know.
But nobody in this movie was wearing goggles on
the excessive digestion.
This desert planet.
Sorry.
This desert planet with wind at ridiculous speeds. Nobody decided, hey, you know what? I need to protect my eyes.
You know what I think? The excessive digestion of the spice caused their blue eyes, and now the blue eyes, they're protected. That's what I think.
I'm pretty sure the blue eyes is just conjunctivitis. Face conjunctivitis is this the sand.
I think they're, instead of being red from being high, they're just blue.
Well, DJ, you have a point with that one.
Okay, so there's a couple of things that, along with Ryan Maxwell's thoughts, and I'm sure his post on Facebook, there's the things that the book refers to that are not even mentioned in this movie. There's a assassination plot that is like, in the book, someone knows, like, I forget his name, Thufir Hawat, I think that's his name. The security guy, the old security guy. In the book, they know something is going on, something is happening, but they don't know who it is. So in the book, it's Jessica. Like, Jessica is brought into question. Is she trying to kill her husband for power?
It's not her husband. She's the concubine.
Sorry, my bad. That's not even like they don't even go into that.
I didn't even realize that.
So there's a lot of question as to why was he killed. That's completely left out. They like bypassed it, erased it, and it worked very well. It's like, okay, I guess that convoluted things. Also in the book, it doesn't really show him like when he goes when they're on the run in the desert and they're in that plane and he's got all these visions in his head. In the book, he's like he's complete Neo. Like, he can see past, present, and future. He sees all these paths in front of him. And I did like the way the movie did this, and that they showed him these different paths, especially with Jameis. But like, apparently Jameis and him could have been buddies, and Jameis was going to show him the way. But in reality, him and Jameis fought each other, and he killed Jameis in the end.
Yeah, I was kind of threw off by that one.
So in the book, Paul he can see past, present, and future, and he like just goes into complete God mode. And like, he can see all these paths in front of him. And he's like, well, I have to see which way I got to go here. And his mom becomes afraid of him. And they did show that in the movie, which I thought was interesting. Like showed Jessica looking at him like, okay, he's in God mode right now. I need to like leave him alone. But it didn't really translate. Like, I felt like I noticed that more because I had read the book. Like, she didn't know what, like, especially when he said, leave me alone, like, you made me a freak.
He said, leave me alone. And he used the voice. Right. And she was like, whoa.
She's like, oh my God, I'm so sorry.
Holy crap.
But at the same time, she's like, I'm still your mama and I still love you no matter what, blah, blah, blah. But in those moments in the book, it's because he's seeing all these paths in front of him. And it's kind of like he's overwhelmed. He doesn't know
he's freaking
which
out.
path to take, which path is going to be the right path, blah, blah, blah. And of course, that is super hard to translate into the movie. And although I do miss like some of the things, like the assassination plot, like that being like Thufir didn't know who actually betrayed them until much later in the book. but I think I think Dennis did this exactly as well as he could have, like 100%. He cut out all the stuff that wasn't needed. He left in what was. I don't think he could have done this any other way. To me, it was absolutely just fantastic what he did with this book. And that's for me having read the book. Sade, having not read the book. Deej, having not read the book. How did you feel? Sade first.
Dang, why did I go first?
Okay, DJ first.
Oh, I was going to go, but okay.
Oh, okay.
I absolutely love this movie. I love the, I like to call it the theme, or I like the filter of this movie.
The way it was, like the color filter, the way it was
Did
filmed.
I say book earlier? I meant
Sepia?
I meant the same movie. Yeah, it's kind of.
You like the sepia film?
Yeah, I like
fan?
the sepia. Yeah, and also I kind of have this thing where I've self-diagnosed myself with pica, where when I see sand, I like crave it and I want to eat it. I know it's
super weird.
really weird, but
Every time
when
they
I
show
see
sand, she's like, "Ooh, that looks good."
I just want to eat the sand. I'm like, oh my God, I love sand.
That's a condition.
I like movies with sand in them because I'm just like craving it and I want to eat it.
Let's
Anyway,
move
like the
past this.
opposite.
it's really freaky. What?
I said you're like the opposite of Anakin.
Sand everywhere.
I love sand.
Sand.
I like this movie because it's in a desert. It's super, super cool.
Okay, let's.
So
What'd you think about the movie?
I thought the movie
Not the
was
filter or the sand.
Okay. I thought this movie had a lot of well, Jerry mentioned this word earlier. He said symbolism, and I feel like there was so much to it that I'm like, dang, there's so much meaning, and I'm like, I'm not sure what's happening, but at the same time, I'm like, I like it. I like where it's going. And I absolutely love the music, the sound, the film score. That was one of my favorites. I love.
That's a good point. We haven't got there yet.
The
Go
film.
ahead.
Well, you told me to tell you how I felt about it.
Yeah.
So the music was a huge thing for me. in
Hans
this
Zimmer,
movie.
baby. You don't go around with Hans.
Hans Zimmer is freaking amazing. I love him. He's done a whole lot of stuff, and he never fails for me. Love it. This was great.
Okay, Deej.
I also really enjoyed this movie. I also, not having read the book.
Yeah, I haven't
had
talked to you. I had zero idea if you liked it or hated it.
Yeah, I had no idea what to expect going into it, other than just seeing clips and like just making fun of the original movie.
Which I've never even seen the original.
I had just seen.
Nor should you.
Yeah, I had just seen the what was it called? The trailers. Anyway, the real trailers. Anyway, It just looks so bad. And going into this, I was just hoping it wasn't going to be. I figured it probably wasn't since the budget. I loved it. I loved the cinematography. I loved the score. I loved the plot.
That's what I was trying to say.
There was stuff I did not understand just because they had no time to explain it, which I get. Mm-hmm. I understood that there's no way they could pack all this into a movie, let alone two's pushing it. What?
Sorry. What you were talking, I was about to say. Continue.
Okay.
Way to interrupt and then say nothing. Thank you.
I actually didn't interrupt.
You're messing up my editing.
You were just pointing at me.
No, I wasn't pointing. I was just kind of like.
You were pointing straight at my face.
It was okay. Continue.
Oh my God.
Anyway,
God, Deej.
so yeah, so not understanding completely every point in this movie, I still liked it, and I could guess. Like, it left enough that I could guess what they were talking about or where it was going or what this means. It wasn't like just a complete plot hole where I'm like, well, what the crap is that? Like the spice thing where that's needed for interstellar travel. Yeah, I'm like, they didn't explain it, but I kind of understand.
Can you think of any plot hole?
Any plot hole?
Was there anything in this movie you're like, they brought this up, but then I have zero idea what they're talking about because they didn't go anywhere with it?
No, that's what I'm saying. Like, everything that they brought up that I'm like, what does that mean? I could kind of, there wasn't like a big hole, like anything I noticed.
Even like Yue, with his training, he was supposed to be unable to be bribed. But basically, this movie just boiled it down to blackmail.
Yeah, but
which is kind of
I had no knowledge
but
of the not being able to be bribed thing.
Right,
so I
right.
just bypassed it.
the little diving on his head was supposed to show that he was imperially trained.
Right. I figured like
That
the
he
little
could
black,
not be broken or...
little black paint.
Like, he was supposed to be... That's what made the book, I guess, more impactful, is that he was supposed to be like 100% unbreakable. So that should not
It was a
have
shocker.
it should not have ever happened that he betrayed the Duke.
It's like when you find out Lance Armstrong was juicing. It's like, how could this have been?
Nobody was shocked on that.
No, I was pretty shocked on that, Gobs. 10th grade me was shocked.
I was living strong, baby.
You had the yellow bracelets. Did you buy the yellow bracelets?
I did.
You had like 10 of them on one
things off.
Actually, it was 8th grade me.
We got those things for free working at Radio Shack.
One thing I did feel that was missing from this movie was more Duke Leto. I freaking love that dude in the book. The daddy.
Yeah, he did.
Leto Atreides.
Oscar Isaac, that performance was really good. The performance in this movie, all of them.
Every one of them were fantastic.
Outstanding.
Some of them were cut short because of obvious times, and it's a movie we ain't got time. But in the book, Duke Leto Atreides is like, oh my God, he's just like the perfect leader. And he sets these standards, and like that's what Paul wants to be. And some of that is lost in translation in making this a 2.5-hour movie as opposed to a book.
But just watching him, just watching how he was a leader,
yes.
I could understand that he was a good leader.
He was kind.
Yeah.
One scene in this movie that I noticed when they were trying to get that one, the spice harvester, and the worms were coming.
Yeah.
And the deal landed, like it couldn't latch on, it couldn't take them off to safety. Well, the lady Kynes,
the doctor,
the woman that was there, she was kind of hesitant. She was kind of iffy on these Atreides. But in the book, when he said, and you saw this in the movie, and I appreciated it, but I don't know if anybody that didn't read the book did, when he said, forget the spice, get on board. He's like, he's more worried about the lives than the spice.
Right.
And she like looked at him, and they cut to her in the movie. And I was like, that's because it was showing that the type of man he was. He doesn't care about the spice. He was concerned about the livelihoods of the people.
Right.
And that translated to me. And I noticed her in the movie, like it cut to her. She looked, she's like, oh yeah, this guy's a good guy. But if you didn't read the book, I don't know if that resonated as much.
I was going to say, back to DJ, when you were talking about how you felt about the movie, you were saying how there was a whole lot that you didn't understand. But even
not that I didn't understand.
Not understand, but like some things you weren't sure about. Like, well, for me, some things I'm not understanding what
I meant like the
like what's
the
happening
titles and the people, like the Bene Gesserit. They just came in. They're Bene Gesserit. I mean, they didn't like explain. Like, yeah, the explanation. Like some things they didn't explain, but they threw in little. At the same time, information that made it kind of plausible for me to follow. At the same time, it was like you still liked it and you want to know what's going to happen next. So it was still good. That's kind of how I felt too. Like some things I'm like, what the heck? The only thing that detracted from this movie for me was knowing that it was a part one. Oh yeah, I hate that crap, dude. I felt the same. I understand that it can't be in one freaking
especially
movie.
Knowing
it's a lot going on.
That the part 2 isn't greenlit yet. That kills me. Yeah, freaking greenlight that part 2. I need to see it because it's like
I thought it has been greenlit. They said it may be coming out sooner than you think.
I have no idea.
Like I feel like it's already been filmed and they're just waiting to pop it out.
I'm going to pee.
Jerry, thoughts?
What particularly on? We're just still discussing our overall thoughts.
Overall, and anything you think was left out or plot holes or something you didn't get.
Well, obviously, I think Dune needed to be a television series rather than just, a couple of movies to tell the story properly. But I thought that they did a great job of cutting out the fat, especially if you watch the older version of Dune. They completely took out the Emperor and all these other plot points and focused on what was needed to make the show accessible to the audience. In the first edition of Dune, there was all these voiceovers of people, hearing what they think. And I think the director did an excellent job on being able to convey emotions and get the point across without it being super cheesy, which is kind of brings me to the point about Timothy Chalamet as an actor. I mean, this role is obviously one that you could very easily make fun of. I mean, he's playing the same titular character as, Neo and Luke Skywalker.
The one.
He's playing the one. But yet he was able to, and I tell you, I will say the only thing that really got me is that towards the end, I got tired of, I know Zendaya is popular, but man, they had a dream sequence every 5 seconds.
Yes.
Oh boy, was dreaming about her at the end. I got that kind of wore on me just a little bit. But
I was like, when is she going to actually show up and say something? Because I'm getting tired of looking at her.
There were lots of slow-mo sequences of her looking back.
Right.
She showed up in literally the last, 15,
but
20
thankfully,
minutes?
she's beautiful to look at, so it's okay.
She's only in the movie for 7 minutes total.
Yeah.
So I felt like Timothy did an excellent job making the character, not hamming it up. I thought he did an excellent job.
Yeah, like I said, the performances were great.
Yeah,
Who was your favorite character?
I thought, of course, again, going back to the old film, having Skarsgård be the Baron, and that was very well played. I thought that was an excellent job, giving that character some nuance.
When he wiped in the opening sequence of his showing, and he's in that like sauna or whatever, and he's just and it just wipes that sweat. I'm like, oh, that's a disgusting man, and I felt that come across very well.
I do feel like his character. I mean, he had the same anti-gravity suit thing that was in the old one, so he can hover around because he's very obese.
He's morbidly obese.
Yes.
I look at myself in the Zoom right now, and I feel like I could play a Baron Harkonnen.
I think you could go.
Right.
How dare you?
I did find the hole after he got injured, not to spoil anything, but when he's in the bathtub
Spoiler alert.
He's in the bathtub filled with essential oils and everything. they're dumping
cooking oil. I think he was trying to
doTERRA and eucalyptus in there to try to heal him. It's like,
Some tea tree oil.
But no, I thought his character was great. Javier
Bardem.
Yeah. I forgot he was in this show.
Stilgard.
He shows up and he steals every scene that he's in.
Fantastic.
He did great.
I think overall, though, the actress that plays the mother, whose name always leaves me,
Rebecca Ferguson.
Correct, Rebecca Ferguson.
Mm-hmm.
I think she, to me, gave the best performance.
I love her nose. Is that weird?
She's no, it's not weird.
I don't know why I like her nose.
She has a beautiful facial structure.
I think she
is a solid actress, and I think she did very well as a mother, and a mother with abilities, and a mother that's concerned about her messianic son. Absolutely fantastic. I've liked her since was Mission Impossible 4? Was she in 4?
She was in 6. Was she in Ghost Protocol or
no? She was in 5 at least.
Oh,
was she in 5? I thought she was in 6.
She was in 5 and 6.
I have a question.
And I'll throw this out real fast. That as being someone who's not a fan of Marvel movies, Jason Momoa is not somebody who's on my radar. And everything I've seen him in, he's just been,
yeah, that's actually what I was about to say. Was Jason Momoa maybe my weakest?
The Rock character. I actually thought he did a fine job in this movie.
He was the hero.
You didn't like him that much?
He did adequately.
I felt like he was
the weakest of the performances.
He was the hero.
Yeah, he's the weakest of the performers.
He was very one-dimensional.
Yeah,
he was just like, my boy.
My boy.
That's his son, my boy.
No, it's Aquaman.
He was Aquaman. My man.
My man.
A serious
I
question.
I love Jason Momoa and everything he does, but it's very much the same character in everything.
Like Jerry was just saying,
Yeah.
Serious question for you guys.
Oh, serious question. Okay.
How would you guys feel to drink my...
Wait, what?
How would you guys feel to drink my sweat and tears?
If it meant me living, I would drink them all the way, baby.
What if I was like...
Well,
never mind.
I'd like to point out that when you swim in a swimming pool, your body secretes basically urine. It's urea out of your skin.
That is weird.
So if you've swam in a swimming pool with somebody, you have shared more than what you
hey, that's worse than an STD, or maybe it's the same. No,
how can that be worse?
Maybe
so
it's
it doesn't bother me a
maybe
bit.
it's the same. Will you what?
What are you talking about?
So okay, so the movie has the beginning. It shows the Atreides on their home planet. Then they come to Arrakis. They take over. Then there's the great betrayal, and then the mom and son are on the run. Sade said, everybody dies in this movie. Like literally all the main characters die or appear to die in this movie. No spoilers. I'm not going to say who lives, who dies.
Yeah, I was also going to say Dave Bautista was also another one of those performances that was just...
Yeah, he just yelled. He just yelled. He was not Dave Bautista. Blade 2040.
Who dies in this film?
Huh?
Who died?
Who died?
You have the Daddy Atreides.
You have Oscar Isaac.
You have Duncan.
You have Duncan, Idaho. You have like all apparently
The army.
You have Liet.
I'm going.
You have Dr.
Liet Kynes dies. Her death was solid. I like that. And that's what I was going to say. In the book, when I was reading the book, I was like, man, this would make a much better movie for visuals. And like when she died, when she was pounding the earth and like, I serve the worms, basically. I'm like, that was solid. That was a solid death. And her death in the movie was much more impactful to me than in the book because I actually was able to see like, oh, that's what happened. Because in the book, I was kind of confused. But,
so a visual was good for you.
So all of Paul's family and friends die in this movie,
except for
at first appearance.
Yeah, but Josh Brolin's gurney.
He was kind of. It was ambiguous.
Yeah, it
so,
doesn't.
Which means
it
that
doesn't
he's not
actually
dead.
show.
He's
not dead.
It's
They didn't show him,
ambiguous.
so that means he's not dead.
I've read the book. I'm not going to say it's ambiguous.
Yeah.
But Duncan, Idaho, like literally everybody Paul knows except for him and his mom are dead. So. What I found was funny was in the next to final scene where Paul has to fight one of these Fremen, Jameis, for his life and for his mother's life. This Fremen just had a real, just was real upset. Like he didn't like the fact that the Fremen were just going to take in these outworlders. So he had to fight this guy and then he kills him. In the book, something that was super impactful in the book, because on Arrakis, water, any type of bodily fluid is life. Like you harvest that stuff. You don't let none of it go. So in the book, Paul Atreides fights this guy and he kills him. And it's the first person he's ever killed. And of course, he's like wrecked. He's like, I can't believe I did this. So he cries. And when he cries, he's releasing this water from his body. And that's like super important to the Fremen. And so when they see him crying for this Fremen that he just killed, they're like, oh my God, that's so much respect, blah, blah, blah. You're now one of us. I wish they had put that in the freaking movie.
They didn't do that in the movie,
Yeah,
but
they just said because you killed him.
He just said, Stilgar said life for a life.
it just kind of showed him kind of realizing what he did.
Like you could see him being super upset, but I wish that's my one, like over all this other stuff, my one quarrel is after he killed Jameis, I wish they had shown like a tear drop from his eye and someone from the Fremen acknowledge he's let water loose.
Maybe
for this
Timothy
man.
couldn't naturally do
He's
that.
let water loose.
He let water loose.
Maybe he couldn't naturally do that. Maybe it looked weird. Like
I agree with Gabi. I think that scene would have been very nice to have been included in the show.
Yeah,
Plus,
he showed the pain from the earlier with the Bene Gesserit and the whole testing. I mean, he showed tears and pain, and that was some acting right there. He could have done that when he killed somebody.
Yeah.
Something similar.
I mean, like, you could see his brow furrowed. And, like, you could tell he was upset about it, but that tear was, like, critical in the book to me.
To me, he acted more like he didn't want to kill him, and so when he had to kill him, he was more like, why did you make me kill you? He's like, you could have lived.
Why'd you have to be such a jerk, Jameis?
so
really
the
seem like-
emotional impact was different.
Yeah,
It was different to me. And I was
It
like,
seemed like he was
if he had
emotional about it.
cried, that would have been like, I don't know. That to me was a lost moment. And that's my biggest pick with this movie. Mm-hmm. All the other stuff can be explained, can be streamlined. I get it. But him not crying after he killed that Fremen, that was huge to me in the novel. And they left that out of this movie. And I'm curious as to why. I'd love
Like I
to
said,
know why.
maybe they just didn't feel like it was natural looking for Timothy. Like
They didn't want Timothy to appear to be a wuss. That's what it was.
I don't know.
He's already super skinny in English.
He's going. No, he's not. He's
not
American.
English.
He's
They're
American?
going for a.
He said it. He
looks
said it
English.
earlier. He's American, but he looks.
I don't know why y'all don't do any research.
I
for
did.
He looks English.
He looks English.
He was in Little Women. I expected he was English.
Actually, you know, I thought he was English because I watched Little
He
Women.
played the king of England.
and freaking Little Women, he was speaking in an accent. I thought. So I thought.
I hope that he does. I hope he does like what was that guy on? He goes all team Jacob like on Twilight and starts
my
working
God.
out. So on Dune Part 2, he's all of a sudden
I forgot about Team Jacob.
he's all of a sudden strangely ripped, like he just roids out.
Okay, so let's focus real quick.
Okay.
So, Dune. Part 1.
I want to see Dune Part 2.
That's why I kept saying, and I was like, I want to see Dune Endgame. This is my issue with this movie. Infinity War, fan-freaking-tastic. But it's also fan-freaking-tastic because of Endgame. Whereas Dune, for me, Part 1, whether or not Part 2 is made, this movie's a 10 for me out of 10.
Oh my God, that's a wow.
It's the sound editing, the sound
Holy
mixing.
crap.
That was something I was going to say.
I have
that
no problems with it. I'd probably say it's a 10 as well.
I wasn't going to.
That's just crazy because Garby's like
Yeah, I
an
know
extreme
that.
critic. So
Okay. What I was going to say was me and Jerry saw this in the theater, and just like the sound in this movie, the basses and all these noises, I was like, just the sound effects in this movie deserve a freaking Oscar. It's absolutely outstanding. Not to mention the music meant for the movie, but the sound editing, the sound effects, the sound mixing, the musical score. My God, I have not been touched by a movie like this in a while, except for Endgame. And before that, I can't even remember. But
I've been tearing that soundtrack up.
Dune,
that soundtrack is beautiful.
I need to listen to the soundtrack just straight up. But Dune, Hans Zimmer, can't freaking go wrong with the Hans.
Hans Zimmer's amazing.
The fact that Hans Zimmer skipped on Tenet to do this, and there is like a 15-minute track just entitled House Atreides that is it's meant to, like, from a orchestral standpoint, tell the history of House Atreides just by listening to it. It is amazing. And so the sound in this show, you can tell that Hans Zimmer is on another level. This is something very special. And the same is true, I think, and I was going to bring this up. I don't know how deep you want to go into this, but in a lot of movies, the story is told through dialogue, and it's told through people staring at each other and narrating and going back and forth. There's not just what really propels Dune forward is not so much the dialogue. It's more of the visuals. It's a spectacle watching these things take place. The actors are there to kind of lay the foundation, and they all do a fine job. They all play their role. But truly, this film is about the visuals, the sights, how the set pieces play out, and the soundtrack along with it. And Denis Villeneuve did something very similar with Blade Runner 2049, yes, where you're watching something and you're hearing this sound, and there are just several scenes in this film that just literally, as you're watching it, you realize that this is something special. And so, yes, just to go back to digress to my point, this is high up in for me in terms of movies. This was an excellent adaptation. I have very few issues with it, and I doubt that he could have done any better.
The music, the sound, the film score, the whole thing, it's kind of really what emotionally impacted me personally. I don't know if I got impacted when like Leto died or anything like that. Like, I mean, it was sad, right? Whatever.
That didn't affect me.
I didn't feel anything when he died.
Not particularly.
I did
agree.
not feel much.
Even though I liked his character.
I liked his character a lot. But the music is what emotionally impacted me more than like the death of him.
It was the moments between him and his mom that got me.
Him and his mom had a more emotional,
The
like,
dad
you know what I
and
mean?
son stuff always gets me, so I got a little emotional, but not like Not as much as I have another.
I think to me the most emotional part in with Oscar Isaac was when he was talking to Timothy out there about the graves, and Timothy essentially rejecting. That was a very nice way of establishing what kind of man.
My son.
Yeah. All I need you to be is my son. That was a great line.
That was great.
So there is some dialogue in this film that is spot on. Like but overall, this is like watching an opera. Like the music and the set pieces, not so much the character development, which there is some.
Yeah.
It's that overwhelming. For instance, I'm 75% Irish according to 23andMe, and I love so when I hear bagpipes, something inside me
He gets triggered. He gets
something
triggered.
gets me. And so there's a scene in this film when the Atreides are all landing on Arrakis. And they're all walking out, and they're having their little parade where they're all just coming to, here they are. They're taking over the planet, and they're being led out by this one dude playing the bagpipes, and that music strikes up. And it's like, wow, that was a heck of a scene. And then there's a callback to that later when the Atreides are being attacked and everything's falling apart, and all their men grab their swords and run out to attack the Harkonnen, and the bagpipes fire up. And it's like, oh, Hans Zimmerman's very much calling back to the honor that the Atreides have, and here they are charging into something where they know they're about to die. Mm-hmm. And there's just a lot, and that's not told through any type of dialogue. Mm-mm. That's not something that you really even pick up on the scenes. That is heralded back to you through the soundtrack, through that music, saying, "Remember that when there is a call, Atreides answers." Yeah. And here it is, and that whole soundtrack is just amazing. And so Hans Zimmerman again has just I love Zimmer.
Hey, the soundtrack made this movie, man.
But he is the man.
He's the man. Hans Zimmer, the man, but he's not Hans Zimmerman.
And DJ will appreciate that. I really like cinematographers, but that Greg Fraser not only is he the cinematographer for The Mandalorian, he's also the cinematographer.
He is? I didn't know that.
He's also the cinematographer for Rogue One. So he has done a fine job in all the shots in Dune and setting up these very hyper realistic.
Can I say something that is? I'm going to say something that is probably what to say. I don't know what is it when you say something shocking. People don't. Well, I'm going to say Hans Zimmer has at this point trumped John Williams.
I'll have to say I've actually listened to Hans Zimmer more than John Williams.
I think there's a difference there in that John Williams has more iconic music for the general audience.
He's got Star Wars and Indiana Jones.
Yeah, which most people know those. I would say Hans Zimmer has a much better
Hans Zimmer's
portfolio.
Portfolio
is just massive.
I totally agree with that one.
Absolutely insane.
And it is amazing every time.
Okay, I'm gonna
Gladiator, for example.
No. Let me just stop the ignorance. Besides John Williams.
Oh my God, here we go.
No ignorance.
No, Gladiator was an absolute amazing.
No Gobby's ignorance about he's got Star Wars. Not only does he has
he's got
Star
a lot of
Wars,
movies.
Fiddler on the Roof, Saving Private Ryan, Harry Potter, all the Harry Potters.
No, I don't give a damn about no Harry Potter.
Memories of the
Ryan,
Emperor of the
Okay, John Williams and Hans Zimmer are up there.
No, I'm going to say, I'm saying,
Minority
on
Report.
my point, I'm saying Hans Zimmer.
Well, I'm not going to choose.
I'm team
at this
Hans
moment.
Zimmer.
When I said large portfolio, I meant like large portfolio of music that's like actually.
They're both amazing.
Beautiful for beautiful.
They're both amazing.
I guess you say like, John Williams is really good at the music for the movie. Like I'm
talking about the little songs in between.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like great.
That's what Hans Zimmer is good at.
But Hans Zimmer like just completely every single time.
I'm not talking about
it's just the music.
John Williams is good at the thematic score, like the main title.
Yeah. So John Williams is top down. He is about the theme. Like everybody, for instance, when you think of Hans Zimmer shows, often you're not thinking of a theme. Like you can't think of a Hans Zimmer theme and connect that song.
I agree with that
with the movie.
Yeah,
John Williams, his stuff is iconic because he does the overarching theme,
the main title.
Yes.
And he stretches it out. Whereas Hans Zimmer does this thing, where he makes. he takes that sound and he applies it to the indivigood.
And he
Like
uses
the
it
individual
throughout
and that's
the
what
film.
I absolutely love. I absolutely love that.
Like good lord. The Nolan film about the war and everybody's waiting.
Talking about Dunkirk?
Dunkirk. Hans Zimmer
That was
uses
amazing.
that. He uses this ticking sound.
Yes.
Inception. He uses this
Exactly.
sound. I'm like, it's
You
just
know it's Hans. or
okay.
no.
So let's
Yeah.
do this.
Yeah,
Let's
yeah,
just
sorry.
say I put Hans Zimmer on the same echelon as John Williams, and I don't know that anybody else
For sure.
is even close. There's a very good James
Danny
Horner.
Elfman.
Danny Elfman. James
Back to the
Horner.
Future.
James Horner was probably up there for me, and that's mostly due to the Glory soundtrack, and I know he did a lot more.
Hey, did he do Hunger Games?
I have no
I
idea.
feel like he did.
But Hans Zimmer, as far as providing soundtracks, is like next to, in our time right now. Name another soundtrack, dude. I can't. I know no one that's doing soundtracks right now, except for who's the guy that's doing Mandalorian right now?
That's the guy. He's Swedish. What's his name?
So other than him,
He did Tenet. He did Tenet.
yes, I don't even know the name of another composer that's doing work right now other than Hans Zimmer. I know they're out there. I'm not being ignorant. I know there's plenty of talented people.
Ennio Morricone.
But that's the guy that did
Sorry, I
that's the
can't say
guy
his
that
name.
did Good, Bad, and Ugly. We're talking about people from the 70s.
Well, I guess
That's who's
Ennio.
being emulated right now by the guy that did The Mandalorian.
Oh, well, he's a person I actually listen to, not just his film scores. I think I listen.
Yeah,
to,
he does.
I listen to all of his
He
stuff.
was huge back in the
He's
70s
amazing.
and 80s.
He's amazing.
But anyway, so Hans Zimmer's good. All right, so let's cut this down. We're about done with this podcast. Dune, for me, I read the book, blah, blah, blah. There was things that was missing. The acting, the visuals, the cinematography, the sound editing, mixing, whatever you want to call it. There was big booms and basses that went in this movie, especially in the theater. This is a 10 out of 10 for me.
Wow,
I'd agree.
That's huge.
Deej?
I'd agree. I love the movie so much.
And that's from a person that didn't read the novel.
I walked into it thinking this may be a bomb. Like I know it's a big budget, but I mean that doesn't mean anything anymore.
What's going to suck is when Dennis falls out and they get old J.J. Abrams in part 2.
Get some lens flares in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's
So
like-
I walked into it not knowing what to expect, and I came out completely.
The Emperor turned out to be the Emperor, and it's a Star Wars
Yeah, he's back.
crossover.
We don't know how, but somehow
It's
the Emperor's back.
Palpatine's in there.
Palpatine comes back.
Somehow Palpatine is
need
back.
the spice.
The worm is actually a Sarlacc there on Tatooine.
It is very Sarlacc.
It is very Sarlacc-ish, but that's because
It's
George
the
Lucas
space
stole
anus.
that.
But yeah.
It
So
looks
anyway,
like a floating space anus.
I loved this. Yeah, it is a big floating space.
So out of 10, what would you give it?
10, I give it a 10. Yeah.
Sade?
For me, I will give it a 9 because I it's not that I walked in here thinking it was going to be a bomb. I did walk in not knowing exactly what was going to happen, but there were some things like that wasn't explained to me. That's why I gave it a 9. But the rest of it was absolutely amazing. I loved it. That it didn't quite reach a 10 for me. So
Everything must be explained.
Jerry D. Baker?
yeah, just some things.
I
It's
hesitate to rate anything a 10. And
Right.
But this is something. I understand this, especially in board gaming contents, but you got to have 10s. If there's no 10s, like, what's the point? Like, this is your best or not? Did you love it or
Yeah.
not?
yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed it. I would say this is a 10 for me, just off the top of my head. And I've watched it twice.
This may be our highest rated movie.
I think it is. Because
wait. What did you guys? Wait, what did you guys rate Endgame?
I gave it a 10. This is my thing for me.
I don't remember.
I've not watched it.
There's very few movies that have been this hyped that met expectations. Like, I went into this expecting tremendous things, and it's like, good Lord, it
You thought it
freaking
was
met
going to be
them.
like Prometheus?
It delivered. Like, it's hard to deliver on what this movie I was expecting, and it
I
did.
was disappointed in the lack of nudity besides Skarsgård.
What
But that was it.
What an idiot!
Okay, so that's going to do it for this episode of Disagreeable Nerd. Lack of nudity on Dune. You might be disappointed if you watch the movie, but there you go. They're living in a desert.
Worm
You're in a desert. You think they'd wear less clothing.
No, it's just the opposite.
Well,
It's just
why
the
would you do
opposite.
that? Because the sand will cut your freaking skin.
If you weren't circumcised before, that sandstorm will circumcise you. So that's going to do it for this episode. Thank you, Jerry, for coming on.
You're very welcome. I'm glad I could bring some class
Until next time, I'm Gabi.
and some actual knowledge about things.
Oh, whatever.
With me also
That's
today
debatable.
was...
This is Deej.
This is
You don't remember
This is
your name?
Charday.
Okay.
Later, dudes.
Is it Charday or Chardea? Zandia? Chardea.
Chardea.
Chardaya.
Chardaya. According to Gabi.